My name is Josh Barlow, and I drive this beautiful LeMans Sunset 350Z.
LeMans Sunset.
It's LeMans Sunset. That's the color, man. Look at the run poster over there. It's the launch color. I got this car in May of 2012. I've had it for over 10 years now. I actually got it at a Nissan dealership. Well, I know it was the same Nissan dealership that I was bought new at, and supposedly the guy who brought it in, traded it in, got a 370. So clearly a Z Enthusiast owned it before me, I believe. And it was really well kept. It was completely bone stock, and it stayed that way for a couple years, but now it's very much so not stock. My current setup for the Z, I have Fortunato coilovers, Hankey RPF1s, Voodoo control arms all the way around. I got SPL monoball bushings in the rear knuckles, the front lower control arms, the front radius arms. So I have the full Akebono swap on this car, front and rear, and they came off of our 2011 370Z that we converted into our track car. So if you see that car going around, it has a StopTech trophy kit. I installed the StopTech trophy kit, and then I got to install the remnants, the Akebonos, onto my car, and I was super excited about that. That was probably the biggest single mod change that you'll feel on the car, is that you go from the stock single piston brakes on all four corners, and they stop you. It's not bad, but it's not sports car like. But you get the Akebonos on there and you get thrown out of your seat. Like, it's fun. I just installed Fortunato coilovers. I had BC Racing BRs on this car for like 5 years or so. I put like 80,000 miles on them. But now looking back on it, it's like, oh wow, that was a harsh ride. That was like bumpy and a little bit squeaky and everything. But I would still recommend them to anyone who wants to have adjustable and slightly stiffer suspension. I've had a lot of stuff for this car. Those Fortunatos I talked about installing, I'd had them for like 2 years before they got installed. So I'm not fast about putting stuff on it, but I'd say next is probably, I have some bottom line side skirts. I have a damned rear diffuser. It's damned, D-A-M-D. I don't know why. I have a carbon signal, it's like a duckbill spoiler. It's really similar to the Blitz one. Given the chance again, I would definitely go back in time and buy this exact car. It's gotten me my job. It's taught me so much about cars and stuff. Like, if you're ever skeptical, if you can go out and work on your car yourself, just do it. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is you break something and you have to bring it to a shop to get it fixed, but you're gonna have to bring it to a shop to get it fixed in the first place. If you can do it without ever having to take it to a shop, I say go for it. It's fun, rewarding, I don't know, cheaper, saves money. I looked at dozens and dozens of cars when I was trying to find a car. I was 16 at the time, so I had never bought a car before. I looked at BMWs and I looked at like much older cars and everything. This had airbags, was not crazy on insurance, and I knew I wanted a rear-wheel drive manual coupe. It fit all the bills. Everyone hates on me. Everyone says go turbocharge, twin turbo it, big single turbo or whatever. People say it all the time. NA is the expensive way to go slow, and it's totally true. But it sounds great. It's so fun getting up to like 8,000 RPM. I think it's more reliable. It's less junk in my engine bay. But I did spend like thousands of dollars to make tens of horsepower. It's by far one of the easiest cars to work on. Like, you look at the predecessor, the 300ZX, and everyone tells you don't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole, or you'll have to pull a motor to change the turbos, and like, there's so much crammed into that car, like technology-wise and new feature-wise, that they just didn't quite know how to design it to be easy to maintain And I think that's what they truly excelled at with the 350. I will never in my life sell this car. It will eventually, like we talked about next steps, and I do want to do aero and stuff, but like eventually the interior is getting stripped, it's getting gutted, it's getting caged. This is going to be a full-on track car. And that's part of the reason why like twin turbo would be fun, but like it's not reliable for track use. Some insecurities I have with it, definitely front bumper paint wise. It ain't a show car by any means, but if you look on the inside, that's where I think it really counts. The interior is pretty much immaculate. I like driving the car, so I don't care what other people see on the outside, but me being in the car, everything's nice and clean, no rips on the seats, no tears, no chips in my finish. The interior is pristine, and I really like that. I'm like slightly sad to like convert it to a track car, because it means like all of that stuff goes out the door and doesn't mean anything. I was driving behind a work truck, and an angle grinder came and fell, and one of the discs came and scratched my hood and broke my windshield at the time, came in here and like damaged my like V3 front bumper, which was not cheap to put on. And then just little things like the depots are getting a little faded over time. My front bumper could be attached a little bit better. It's like starting to crack on the corners, but it's just because it's low and I like to drive it. I would recommend 350Zs to more people. People always like hate on the DE, but really the thing goes forever. Like my first motor on that motor are 270,000 miles or something. And then for $1,000 I got this motor out of a crashed FX35 and threw it in a day. The 350, people think the motor is like special or different or whatever, but it's all in the tuning. Any rear wheel drive VQ35DE, identical. G35, FX35, M35, a ton of cars that have this motor, they're all the same. So you blow a motor, you go find a cheap grandma car like I did that had 106,000 miles and probably never saw wide open throttle, you throw it in there and you're golden. I don't have much in terms of social media or anything. I have an Instagram, but I've posted like 4 things on it ever. So if you want to look at this car, check out old CZP videos, or I don't know. I could tell you to check out the Run, because it's basically that car, but newer and better, just less pretty.